Hey, Amie,
Yeah, Juan.
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amie Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She's Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. If you are listening to us on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, rate us, write us a review, help spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us your comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. Amie, ¿cómo estás?
Hey, what's up? Happy week. Whatever week we're on in this year.
Happy week to you, Amie. Let's get into it, shall we? You know what? I don't know if I've been doing this lately, to tell you the truth, but why don't we a pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. Amie,
Skirting getting sent down to the minors, eh?
Yeah,
option you.
I need it. So there were two series this week. They were the Rayos of Tampa, and then the Orioles of Baltimore. And the Dodgers ended up going 4-2 on the homestand, the very short homestand. It got off to a real promising start with the Rayos series. Did you end up going to any of those games?
I did not end up. I was supposed to go to Monday's game, but I had some health issues that prevented that from happening. But I did cover two of the games over the weekend for the Orioles.
So what were your takeaways from the Rayos series? Because I don't want to steal your thunder and go negative immediately.
Oh, God. Are you already waiting in the wings with the negative? Good grief.
No, it's just assumed I'm going to go negative. So that's why I want to get all the positivity out of the way.
I don't assume you'll go negative. But, I mean, they swept the series. They won all three of them, despite, people being very, very concerned about Bluesky coming out with that what was it, right hamstring contusion. People were very concerned that when he finally did come back, that it was going to be a lackluster appearance. And he was like, hold my beer, guys, because he went 6 innings. He gave up no runs. He did a great job. And then you had Ohtani coming in. And again, people were like, oh, my God, why are we letting him pitch? He's so delicate. And despite having, the knee inflammation over the weekend, he did have that blister issue. So we did see some of the blood that he wiped off on his pants. I mean, he still did pretty good. He got into a little bit of trouble, but, they still won. So I'm sure you have feelings.
Well, it's no pasa nada. No pasa nada. It is
the roller coaster. Look at you growing.
It is the roller coaster ride. I mean, I think the theme of this homestand was one run. There were a lot of one-run games, except for Sunday's ass kicking. Other than that, I
think they just got a little tired on Sunday. You saw a lot of people posting that the Dodgers hated fathers on Father's Day because they lost in such a spectacular fashion. But I think, much like we always talk about, that's just baseball.
Yeah, there was. Or it could have been just really good pitching. I mean, after all, the Rayos are fighting for the first place in the American League East. Now, a lot has been said so far going into this season about the difference between the two leagues, in particular records. Like the American League, at the time that we are recording this, which is Tuesday, the American League has a total of 5 teams. Okay, 5 out of 15.
They only have 5 teams?
They only have 5 teams that are over 500. Okay, so the Rayos were one of them. And before the Yankees overtook them recently, they were in first place. So the Rayos had some good pitching, so you can always chalk it up to that. But the Dodgers offense looked sus. But okay, you want to tip your hat? Go ahead.
I do want to preface this though with, as of Monday, the Dodgers were the first team in the entire MLB to 50 wins. They overtook the Braves. They're now leading the league. So before we go full negative, I did hear some negativity as they lost the Saturday and Sunday game, and it was like, oh my God, is this gonna snowball? And it's like, guys, they're leading the league right now. Settle down, calmate. Like they're not gonna win every game. Okay, sorry, I had to get that out. Carry on.
No, but look, look, I'm not a major leaguer, so take
What?
that as exactly. So my opinion when we're discussing these things really don't matter. It really doesn't matter, right? What does matter is what Dave Roberts says. And I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but in that Orioles series, he was critical of offensively of their approach. So I know that this team is in first place. They have a 9-game lead. Like you said, they're the first team in Major League Baseball to 50 wins. They have the best record. That all being said, they're doing all of this and they're still not playing good baseball. You know?
We're losing players left and right. Like I
Yeah.
just this is why, to me, like, just watching it and enjoying it, like you said, no pasa nada. Like, just enjoy it. I had a conversation this weekend and the CBA came up, and whatever's going to happen, like, we're probably not going to have baseball right away next year unless some miracle happens. But like, I don't know. Like, just enjoy it.
Well, I mean, some of the takeaways for me from that Rayos series is I think as much as people were keeping an eye on that knee of the unicorn, I think
Mhm.
to me what's becoming more a big of an issue, or not an issue, but just something to keep an eye on, is that blister of the unicorn, because I'm old enough to see how Dick Mountain used to struggle with blisters, and that was an
Walker
ongoing
Bueller.
and
Oof.
that was an ongoing thing. And the blister situation with Dick Mountain, that did affect his performance because he couldn't go long in games. Even though he was pitching well, he couldn't, because that blister was a ticking time bomb. And once it went off, he had to go. So I do think, because this isn't the first time that the unicorn has had this blister. Actually, that game against the Rayos, I think, is the worst I've actually seen that blister. Now, there may have been more blood in a previous start, and they just did a good job of hiding it. Maybe it bled like that in between innings, and the camera didn't pick it up. But this is the first time I saw a lot of blood. And blisters to me are just, they're tricky because I don't think there's a quick fix to them. Look, Dick Mountain, I mean, they should do a documentary on how all the different things that Dick Mountain tried to solve his blister issue. Like he tried everything, and there was a stretch where it was like every start you were like, how long is his finger going to last before it starts bleeding? So I'm glad that the knee wasn't that much of a concern in that start, but now I'm like, that blister, and I find it very interesting. You know this better than anybody, Amy, because you covered the team and you see how much Japanese media covers him and is around him. And I found it very interesting that he actually spoke to Japanese media. Did you see that piece or hear about that piece from a Japanese sports magazine? The interview that he did.
I didn't. I was busy. I admittedly, I am not as caught up on everything as I would like to be because I was working all weekend. So enlighten us.
So there's this Japanese sports magazine called Number, and in it there was this quote that kind of went viral, and it really caught everybody's attention, because I do think that this is kind of out of character for the unicorn. I don't think the unicorn is that open. It probably was easier for him to be open with a Japanese publication than it was with an American publication, but
Well, and he's also not having to speak through an interpreter, which he gets to say what he wants and have it be a little bit more clearly um, interpreted, I guess.
yeah, so the big quote that was going around there is, and it was in regards to his Cy Young chances. And I know we've talked about his Cy Young chances on this show, but in it, he said, inside, I'm assuming this is my last chance as a pitcher, which is very interesting. right? Because I think this is something that a lot of people have been talking about. He already has two. He's had two pseudo Tommy John surgeries, whatever you want to call them, and there is a short lifespan for pitchers. So it's very interesting to me that I think he's admitted his mortality, that it's on his head, that I don't know how much longer he's going to pitch. And there's always been speculation that if he does get one more arm injury, that's it. The Dodgers are going to shut him down and being like, hey, you're no longer a two-way player. You are just going to be, hitting. Maybe eventually we may see him in the field. What are your thoughts of actually hearing Shohei say, "This may be my last time as a pitcher"?
It's not that I don't it's not that I don't believe him. I just it's something that he did say, but we don't know what factors into it. To your point, yes, it does show his mortality, but we know that he's human. So I don't know. I don't really think anything of it. Maybe this is the best shot he thinks he has, and that's what he meant. And it's not for lack of trying in some of the other areas. I, to me, it's not like he's not going to try his best every year. So I'm just like, he's either going to get it or he's not. There's going to be other factors at work. So I don't know.
Yeah,
This is the not the no pasa nada for me, but this is it's something he said in this moment, and maybe he ends up chasing it for 2 more years, or he's just trying to acknowledge in this moment, set himself up for not failure, I guess, if he's not shooting for it. I don't know.
it's very. I really like your choice of words that you said, chasing, because I think there's a lot of people, a lot of Dodger fans are rooting for him to win the Cy Young. I think it would be a great story that here's a guy who's won 4 MVPs and now he's adding a Cy Young. I mean that's crazy, right? We would
It's not
all.
to say that he's not chasing it though. To me, his standards are always going to be up here, and he's going to continue to shoot for the stars. But to me, maybe it's just a way to get everybody off his back. Honestly,
Well, I mean, it could be that, but I mean, I just. It is something that whether it's being pushed by him in terms of a narrative, or it's just the fact that it's out there. It's just what I'm getting at is, as much as he looks good out there on the mound, it's just he picked the wrong year to try to win a Cy Young, because I know a lot of people think that this is Jacob Mizorowski's revenge on me because I left him out of our conversation about the Cy Young. But did you catch Mizorowski's last start?
no. Tell me.
Well, no, it wasn't his last start. It was the one prior to that. It was against the Phillies of Philadelphia. He went 9 innings, struck out 15. I mean, this guy is just so impressive. So not only that, but you have Christopher Sanchez. So they're like Michael Butler says, the competition for National League Cy Young is really tough. So to hear Shohei basically saying maybe he's talking more about a pitcher and not necessarily the Cy Young award, but I do think it feels like maybe this would be his last stand because he is getting older. Like you mentioned, if there is a work stoppage next year, they're gonna miss time.
I,
So
I I guess I also think of while I know he does have to weight his words, much like we have to do on this show as well, right? We've got to think about what we say. Sometimes you say things and then after the fact it's like, oh man, I didn't mean it that way or whatever, and you didn't lend that much weight to it in the moment, but whatever people took from it, they put it on a pedestal, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I just said that in passing, oh god, now this thing has legs. And I feel like that's also something to keep in mind. So maybe that was what I was trying to convey, is it's not that I don't believe him or whatever. It's just you say things sometimes and you don't realize the weight that they're going to get, and maybe that is what he meant. Maybe he just meant it to a lesser degree, and to me I'm just like, that guy's never going to stop chasing anything. His dreams are he wants for 10 World Series rings over the next, over the course of his contract. So to me it's are we putting more weight on it than what he meant?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I think the two things can be true, right? It's like, oh my God, these words came from the unicorn's mouth. Add like 100 pounds of value to it, and it's like he literally just said it probably and didn't think anything of it after the fact.
I think you're absolutely right. I think we do put way too much weight into it. I mean, that's what this show is about. More so from more so from me than from you. But that's what it's dissecting every little single thing because that's what we
For
do now,
for why
right?
though? But why?
That's a very interesting question, and I wish I had a better answer for you, Amy, because it was just like, why do we do a show, right? Why do we talk about these things? Why do we talk about the Dodgers? Why do we like overanalyze things? Why do we do all this stuff? Obviously, there's an appetite for it, right? Like people listen to us, even if they don't agree with us or anything like that, they still. So there is, like I
It's not
said, I wish I
necessarily
had a
the
better answer.
over. Yeah, it's not the over analysis. It's just it's how people look at some things because I think there's you and I have talked about this for our 5 listeners or whoever else comes along the journey with us. Like I do this show because I think it's important that we have God, what is the word that I'm looking for? Not exposure, representation. I think that's important. So even if it's just our 5, 10, 15 people listening and we have representation out there, to me, we've accomplished what we set out to do. And I just love talking baseball. I will talk baseball to the wall. Talking baseball with you is 10 times more enjoyable than that because we have differing viewpoints. So we get to see what each other talks about. So I think there's always going to be, I don't want to say a need for that because, people listening can be like, ugh, I don't like their takes. Like, this is awful. I'm going to go listen to something else. And great, go do that. I'm still going to talk to you whether it's on this show or we're doing it in a group of friends. And like, to me, I just love talking baseball. So like the over analysis, everybody's going to do that to their own extent in the facet that they focus on. And some of the stuff that you focus on and rip apart and really analyze, I could care less about. And then some of the stuff that I'm like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. And you're like, yeah, it didn't really mean anything to me. So, but I think that's the microcosm of baseball, right? We all have that little niche that like really like just sticks in our heart. And that's what we all can bring to those conversations. Cause I think it would be boring if we all loved the same thing about it.
Well, like I said, I think you're absolutely spot on in the sense that he may have said something that he didn't think carried much weight, and now everybody's and you brought up representation, and all I could think of, Amy, is everything that's going up north with the San Francisco Giants, where a couple of players did something which they probably thought was innocuous, wasn't going to get a lot of attention, and now all of a sudden has turned into a very big deal up north. And yeah, I think it's one of those things that exactly what you said, where you thought you did something, no one was going to notice it, no one would, or you just didn't think it was that big of a deal. And next thing you know, you have to answer questions, and you're just like, wait, whoa, 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 I didn't want this. So that's why I found it interesting that
I
he
think
gave this.
those are two different things though, because he's talking about his own career. He's not really impacting anybody else by making that statement. I still stand by like the stuff up north, like that quote, when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. There is a lot of pushback of like, we didn't realize it, this is what would happen. And it's like, but things we say have consequences. In Shohei's case, this took off in a direction maybe he didn't intend, but when we're talking about the stuff up north, that's totally different because now you're impacting communities and other things. And I just want to be very careful because I think that's like we're walking two fine lines there that are similar yet separate topics.
I think they're different impacts. I do think there's different impacts. And you're right. It may not be apples to oranges, but Blake Trinan was very, I don't want to say he was outspoken, but he chimed in where he was like, he wrote Charlie Kirk on his hat. And according to Blake Trinan, he was persecuted, for it. So it's
But
one of those things.
that's
It's
the
more
mistake
speaking.
that people make about the First Amendment and anything like that. People think that you have the right to say anything, and you do, but you do not have the right to not have consequences for what you say. And so I think that's the little caveat that people tend to forget is like I could call you the worst things in the world and it is my right to say that, but if there are consequences or it gets categorized as hate speech, there are still consequences for what I said. And I'm not likening that to Blake Trinan. I'm just using that as a general example. But there are still consequences for the words that we say, and that's something that's important to remember. That's why half the time on this show I try to be very measured in what we say, because there are consequences for what we even put out there.
Look, I'm all for players controlling their own narratives. And, for years now, there has been this kind of, hey, let's take you behind the curtain. Let's get to know more of these players. And there's great stories that we end up, like we just talked about last week, the Andy Bacchus story. And there's great profiles out there. So when players are the ones initiating these conversations and, in a sense, I feel like they're controlling it. I think it's great, but I just think it's a good reminder that you just can't control everything.
Mm-hmm.
So even though he went to a Japanese publication where he felt more comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
obviously doing it, and this is what happens. And that's the correlation that I was making up between what was going on with the Giants pitchers, where they felt like, hey, we're doing this for us. And what they did not take into account is there is a much larger impact to what they were doing. And I know we're probably not going to get into it because I know Josh Hawley, the senator from Missouri, was reaching out to Major League Baseball about this. Nothing is going to come out of it because, first of all, those players weren't punished. So
well, it's not even punished. They weren't forced to. But the other side of this, and I believe that there's a couple articles about this, they have come out and said we weren't forced to wear the hats, and that's I think the misunderstanding that many people are making is they feel they were forced, and so then they had to find a way to protest this. They were not forced to wear those hats. They were able to abstain, just like Trinan, Alex Call did. You can just quietly continue to wear your uniform and abstain from that thing, which I think that's getting lost now that the government is getting involved. But it
was like when they were getting involved with steroids. Now, I think that the thing that is important is whenever the government gets involved,
it's the antitrust. We have to watch out because that's going to get overturned. And
exactly,
I mean, but there's so much
antitrust,
and there's so much that they're trying to control. Even the other thing the Giants were called out for was the thrusting in the outfield, and to me, like that was just a good time, like. And then, they take it a step further. Okay, we're going to do it this way because they said, we can't do that. And then you have the Hingle McCringleberry like parody of the Key and Peele skit where it's like, oh, you said we can't thrust? All right, 1, 2, oh, but you can't do 3. And then like that plays out. And it's just like, oh my God, like there are so many facets to this. And this is why part of me just loves watching the game, because when you take, I like the humanity focus. Let's focus on the humanity. But when we get into stuff that's like maybe minority groups and things like that, that's where it's a fine line, and everybody falls on a different place on that spectrum. So,
and to your point, it is the humanity. Like as minuscule as this story is about Shohei, it's about his humanity, because he's talking about his own mortality as an athlete, right?
Well, and he's beloved by so many, like not just here in America. How many people have gone to Japan and he's everywhere? Like, I feel like he's stalking me. Like he's on the wall, he's on the train, he's on the toilet paper. Okay, I mean that's joking.
Shohei the toilet paper. Shohei the cereal.
So
Shohei the flamethrower.
I will say for him, like total random Shohei stat, but I heard on the broadcast like 6 home runs out of the last 10 games. So everybody was really worried about him. Like, way to
like
go,
me?
buddy.
And you called this. I want to give you credit. You called this because remember when I talked about it in the show and saying, hey, I'm a little concerned about his power numbers. And you said, oh, hold that beer. He's about to go on one. How come, Amie? How come he now leads the Dodgers in home runs? At the time I said that, He had spotted everybody on that team, a comfortable early lead in the home run chase, and now with the home run that he hit against the Gemelos the other day, he is now the team leader in home runs. So
Well, and
again,
he was the difference maker in that game that Robo pitched last week, where the only run that scored was his home run on that Tuesday game, and
yeah,
it was in some of the other games too. Like what was it? The leadoff home run. Oh, that's sorry. I'm fast forwarding into next week's series. I
yeah,
take that
that
back.
was against the Gemelos, but
Let me take that
But
back.
look, those games against the Rayos, they were all one-run games. And again, if it was the Rayos pitching is that good, I tip my hat to them. But it just seems,
It's
and
a
maybe that,
mix. The offense is admittedly, and they have said this, they are not where they want to be. They're not taking advantage of runners in scoring position. They're
yeah,
leaving people on base. They know it. Dave Roberts knows it. They're working on it, but you can only do so much. You can't force baseball. And when you try to force it, you almost get like the unintended yips consequence where it's like, oh, I tried to force it too much. So we just gotta write it out. And by writing it out right now, we're writing it out at the top of the league. So I think we're okay for right now.
what else do you got on that Rayos series?
We did get to see Tommy Edman come back, so I was not concerned about him, but I was really hoping that he would have like a good return. You heard people talking about like, oh, you know, is he going to be able to get his swing? I think even he said he was a little concerned about like how he was going to factor back in, kind of hit the ground running. And for the most part, like I feel like he, for coming off of not really being around the whole year, not too bad.
Yeah, I mean he's starting. I mean, again, I think we have to look at it the same way we looked at it when Mookie came back from his injury. This is his spring training because there's a difference between playing in a rehab assignment as opposed to playing in the major leagues. So I do think we need to be patient with Tommy Edman, but it is at least good to see some reinforcements show up, especially I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but it just seems like the injury bug is just something that the Doyers cannot avoid. And it's almost like a reality and an expectation. People are going to get hurt. We just need to be prepared as to when.
I think that's you talk about it a lot, but the regional mindset that we get into where we don't really see what's going on with other teams, like other teams are going through it too. So that's something to like keep in mind. It's not like just, oh, well, it's me. It's only the Dodgers that are getting hurt. Like it's across the league. I see it more with my fantasy league because I'm trying to not have all the Dodgers on my fantasy team. But like, you know, Ronald Acuna Jr., like we're seeing a lot of these guys, they're either on the IL, they're going day to day. Stuff is happening. Like, so I mean, it's endemic in baseball that you're going to have people get injured. The hope is that they recover from it quickly. Obviously, they have way better trainers and healing options than the layperson out there. So, you know, just kind of hoping that everybody gets back to normal because you also want to see competitive baseball. You don't want to see a bunch of hurt teams playing each other.
What else do you have about the Rayos?
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, I mean, because they were low scoring games, which I know you love, with the exception, like even the 5-4 games to me, because they were so close, it felt low scoring because it was almost like they scored in clusters. Some of those games I think were winnable for the team, but then you get into either the starting pitcher had a little bit of trouble, or as we saw more in like as we get into the Orioles series, the bullpen is struggling a little bit. But again, we talked about it last week. I think that's going to be the cyclical part of baseball. Not everybody's going to match up at all times and be perfect.
Oh, look, again, the two wins that they had, well, the one win, excuse me, against the Orioles that they had was a 1-run win, and they got some help on that one. That was the Dalton Rushing's game-winning walk-off that was also aided and abetted by a throwing error.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I don't even say it was a throwing error because that was more on the catcher, the Orioles catcher. Because I was watching the game with my daughter, and my daughter said to me, she's like, that catcher was being lazy the way he went after that ball, and the ball got away from him, and the Dodgers were able to score. But yeah, the offense did not look good this past weekend. But what positive things do you have to say about the Orioles series?
Well, I mean, I guess before we get into that, like as everybody was kind of surprised to find out, we saw Shohei go on the paternity list. So I think that's partially where some of the, I don't want to say they struggled, but since he has been influencing the offense, if you will, not having him in the lineup Friday, we kind of saw what that does to the team. But were you surprised? It sounds like everybody else was surprised.
You know what? Here's the thing. I'm surprised because I think he just have his first kid last year. Like, I mean, I don't know if these are Irish twins.
I don't think they're that close together. I could be wrong.
It seemed close to me. It seemed close to me. That's what the surprising part was. My other thing was, do you buy this? Like Dave Roberts literally said he didn't know until a couple of days ago. So my
Well, they
can you
said
get clarification
recently.
on that for me?
Well, yeah, they said recent. I didn't get that it was a couple days. From what I understood, it was like within the last couple weeks, but it wasn't like they knew in the second trimester when everything was safe to like disclose. It feels like Shohei kept this under wraps, and honestly, I kind of understand. Do you really want to be a distraction to your team while you're going through it? We've got big injuries. We've got, you've got Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell on the IL. Like there's a lot going on for this team despite the fact that they have a winning record. So to me, one, we already know that Shohei values privacy, but two, I wouldn't want that to take away from the team or be a distraction.
By the way, Tyler Glasnow, who got moved to the 60-day IL, this was after. Oh, these are just spasms, and this is going to be, this is just us being, conservative. Like the back, there's nothing conservative about the back.
Well,
Ask Clayton Kershaw.
He got moved a little bit ago. Him and Snell got moved at the same time, or like within days of each other. So, not
but
shocking.
I don't think people expected Glasnow to be out this long, though.
Yeah. So Glasnow got put on the 60-day on June 6th. Snell went on it on May 29th. So within like a week of each other.
But when Glasnow first went down, I don't think people expected him to be out this long. So that's what I'm just saying.
I don't even think he's really throwing yet still. Like
No, he's
they're
not.
slow playing him where like Snell is almost getting ready. Like they're talking, I think, about a rehab assignment soon. Don't quote me on that. There were a lot of updates this weekend, but I mean, again, I just go back to like, would you want to be the distraction for the team when that really does have nothing to do with baseball? Like, it's great for him, awesome for his family. Everybody's speculating on the gender of the baby based on the color of the blanket, but it's at the end of the day, I'm just more happy that everybody came through it healthy and good for him, and now he can focus on baseball and hopefully still getting his 10 hours of sleep. So,
what else? What other positive things do you have to say about the Orioles series?
Well, we did see Mookie have some milestones that Friday night on his bobblehead night. So in the bottom of the first, he hit his 400th career double, which was also his 1800th career hit. And then in the bottom of the ninth, he hit his 299th home run, which I love numbers in that respect. So good for him. And the fact that he did, all of those things in one game was actually kind of cool. We did see the bat breaking get replayed later on TV and some of Mookie's kind of side looks, but they won Friday night.
And look, don't look now, but Mookie is over the euchre line, ladies and gentlemen.
He was hitting pretty well. Like he was like one after another.
At the time we are recording this, he's hitting 211. Now I know they're like, Juan, that's still not very good. It's like, look, he was under the euchre line for quite some time. So hopefully this is him coming back and getting that production, because I think you're right. When you don't have the unicorn in the lineup, you don't have Will Smith, you have these injuries, and then you have some people that are mired in slumps or are just underperforming. You need somebody to pick up the slack. So it's good to see that Mookie's doing it.
Well, and it's just good to see it for all the flack he gets from everybody. Like just to see him producing better, he feels better. You can see it with him on the field. Dalton Rushing credited him with, I looked over at the dugout, and he was basically kind of cheering him on, and that's what got his mind right to be able to hit that walk-off single. And I agree. It's always funny to me when they credit like a certain person with the error, but it's like, but it was really the catcher that didn't catch it. Like, I don't think the throw was that far offline, but
No,
far be
wasn't.
it from me to, I'm not the official scorer, but like, they managed to pull it out, which was pretty good, because again, that night Shohei wasn't in the lineup. So
Look, errors are part of the game, so it happens.
yeah, we saw Pajes like throw out in the top of the first. That was it. I think it was Taylor Ward. He singled, was trying to go for second, and Pajes was like, "Don't run on me." Immediately threw him out. And I was just like, "Good for you, buddy."
I would chalk that up to them being an American League team and not being very familiar with Andy Pajes. Or maybe Taylor Ward was just feeling himself and he thought, I can get there.
Yeah.
I can get there.
I feel like they watched tape though, and he was on the Angels before, so it's not like they hadn't faced each other in the Freeway Series every year. So I'm just saying.
So what other good stuff do you have?
Let's see. I think those were my highlights, because obviously, it wasn't great to lose the last two games. I mean, Shohei did come back from paternity leave on Saturday, and my gosh, the murmuring in the stadium when he showed up on the field. But he did hit his 16th home run on Saturday night, which again, they tried to make that comeback in the bottom of the ninth, and you almost, like, it felt like they could have done it. You had, who was it? Tommy Edman on first. He got on an error. Mookie's on third, and then, we couldn't pull it out.
We couldn't, or who couldn't?
Hey, that could have happened to anybody who was up next.
Well, and that's where
I'm assuming this is the negative we've been.
This is where you're leading me exactly where I want to go, and that is, Amie, it is June. Very soon will be July. We have to have a conversation about Kyle Tucker. And I know a lot of people are going to focus on how much money he's making. I'm really more focused in terms of his numbers and his productivity, because these are Michael Conforto numbers that we're looking at. And when the Dodgers signed him in the offseason, it was to solve that outfield problem. It was really interesting because Dave Assay had a interview with him after he got injured in the Gemelos game. And immediately there were already articles being written that he needs a break. He needs a mental break, and maybe now would be a perfect time to put him on the injured list to kind of give him that break. But Dave Assay was bringing up some very interesting numbers in that he's swinging a lot at the first pitch. He doesn't seem to be very patient at the plate.
Well, would you be when you have all of like social media screaming at you?
And that's what Dave Vassay, to his credit, I when I was listening to Dodger Talk, he brought up and this is before your time, I know you don't remember this, but when Darryl Strawberry came to the Dodgers his first year as a free agent after leaving the Mets, hit the first half of that season, he was not very good.
I saw the documentary. Yeah.
And so a lot of people are just like, they felt the pressure because he's from Los Angeles, the pressure of him coming back home, the contract, living up to that. And the second half of the season, he looked like Darryl Strawberry again. Could that be happening to Kyle Tucker? Going back to what you say, the humanity of it, human nature. Obviously, you want to live up to that contract. You want to help the team, and sometimes that results in you maybe trying too hard. You are doing things that you normally don't do. You're establishing bad habits. So, Amie, my question to you is that what it is with Kyle Tucker? Is it just bad habits? Or if you actually start looking at his numbers, especially last year with the Cachorros, there is a decline there. And look, the Friedman and the rest of that Dodgers front office are much better with numbers than I am. So if they had identified some sort of pattern, I'm sure they would have picked up on it. But I look, we're getting into July, and it's just he doesn't look. He is swinging through fastballs, and that's never a good sign when you're a major leaguer. So what are you seeing with Kyle Tucker?
I think a lot of it, like I think it's again multifaceted, right? I think there could be some head trash in there. Even if he stays off of social media, it's hard not to let that stuff in, like especially we're seeing him also move around in the lineup. Like he doesn't really have a set spot. We've tried him at, in the 2 hole. We've tried him at cleanup. Like we've tried him all over. Like you know that some of that has got to creep into your head, much like we've also heard a lot of players trying to live up to their contracts. So like you said, I mean, that's got to be in the back of his mind too. Like there's a lot of this game. Like we know it's mostly mental. So I think it can be a lot of stuff. We also don't know what's going on in his personal life. It could be nothing, or he could have, something going on and that's impacting him. So that's where for a lot of stuff like this, like, is it disappointing? Sure. I mean, the Michael Conforto, you saw a lot of people get really upset about it last year, but it's like, okay, but at the end of the day, what are you going to do about it? The Dodgers clearly see something, or they're continuing to put him out there. I think sometimes that's to the detriment of the player, but also what are you going to do? Like you sign this guy, we put him out there and play, and hopefully he gets through it. But at the same time, like if they're putting him on the field, he's got to play and he's got to do the best that he can. And so that's where maybe the humanity for me is like just giving him grace, because nobody wants to go out there and not perform to the standard that they want to. So to me, I hope he figures it out. I don't know if he needs an IL stint or not, but at the same time, all the people that are clamoring online, I don't necessarily think that that's helping. And I doubt that most of those people know more than the front office knows about him.
When you see someone like this struggle the way he has been struggling, I think the first question always has to be, is he healthy?
Right.
And there could be the pressure of, I have this big contract. I'm not going to go out and go on the injured list my first year here.
Well, and then you've got the other people that are like, what? So he's getting paid all this money and you guys are going to park him on the injured list? Like, he's a baseball player, like, man up. And it's like, okay, so you can't have it both ways. You can't have half the people clamoring, put him on the IL, let him get his head right. And then the other half are like, oh, he's a wuss if you do that. And it's like, okay, so what's the right answer? How, like, he's just got to swing through it.
Yeah, I'm curious if the back's been bothering him more than he's let on. I mean, you need your back in order to hit. And so if he's been trying to fight through something, look, we've seen it's been happening too many times. We see someone have a really bad year, and then what happens at the end of the year? It's revealed that they were dealing with some like your boy Geekit, the year that he had the hernia. Right?
He played through 2 days of it this year. He came back, injured himself in the batting practice. The day he came back, still performed, and then ended up leaving on Wednesday because it was too much. I feel like this game is so competitive, and that can be a detriment to players because as you're describing, they play through it. And a lot of times that hurts them. But if I go on the IL, is somebody going to take my spot? Are they going to get to keep my spot? Does this mean that I'm earning the contract? Am I going to get more flack because I'm on the IL and someone takes my spot and I should be, performing up to my contract standards? Like, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
This is the reason why I'm bringing it. I'm not bringing it up because, oh, hey, I want to crap on Kyle Tucker. I'm bringing it up because the first 2 months of the season is used to identify what holes you have. And then the next 2 months of the season are used to see, okay, what solutions do we have? So if Kyle Tucker's lack of productivity is related to an injury, then as a Dodgers organization, now you got to start factoring in, do I need to do something at the trade deadline to address my outfield situation? And if I do that, it does impact the overall approach because you have a bunch of young outfielders in the minor league system. Young outfielders that you could use as trade chips to maybe get a pitcher. But if Kyle Tucker is hurt or there's something going on where you need to put in a body out there in the outfield, then you may not want to trade one of your outfielders because you're like, look, I need them, or you're going to have to make another move to trade for an outfielder. I mean, you just don't. That's the predicament that we
Mhm.
have to sit here and talk about, where it's like, okay, well, maybe in the second half he will turn things around. Okay, problem solved. But the trade deadline is next month. It's in July. So
Right.
it's like I'd
Well,
hate to have
and that
Andrew
maybe to
Friedman's job. I'd hate to have his job.
well, and to your point, maybe if he is injured, you're already guaranteed your contract. You've got multiple years here. Go on the IL. No, you're not going to lose your spot. Somebody's probably not going to trade to take on, the remainder of his contract anyway. So put him on the IL so you can either bring somebody up or get a rental through the end of the season if it's something that's going to keep him on the IL for a prolonged period of time. But again, these are things that like I'm sure the front office is already looking into that you know what it doesn't impact my game watching up until this point. Like, do I want him to be at his best? Absolutely. But at the same time, like these are some of the things that we just don't have control over.
Okay, do you have anything else on the Orioles series?
I don't think so, other than it's just that smoke. They were also playing through that I mean Friday, but also like Saturday and Sunday. Like it was pretty bad out there. So I don't envy any of those guys that had to run in that weather. It did clear up visibly throughout the day, but you know that they're still breathing and that stuff. Like it was pretty gnarly.
So yeah, obviously in the press box and in the stands, it was very noticeable.
By the afternoon, a lot of it had blown off, but like you could still smell it. Like, so what we had heard was Saturday was actually worse than Sunday, but because it was a 7:10 game, by the time we got there at 2, a lot of it had burnt off. But when we got there, I think we got there at 9 a.m. on Sunday for that 1 o'clock game. Like the majority, I would say like 70 to 80% of staff and media, we were all in masks. They were handing out masks if you didn't already have them. Like even with the mask, you could taste it. The smoke was just so thick. And because the press box, you don't have like a window, it's wide open. Like it just permeated the stadium. And so like we could go into the dining room and kind of hide out in there, but it was an acrid smoke. Just, it was everywhere. And then it finally started to burn off around like 1 o'clock. But even still, you've still, the fire's not going anywhere. So even if you don't visibly see the smoke, they're still playing through it. And that's a lot to have in your lungs. Like my lungs were exhausted. I have asthma, and like I came home and I had to sleep because I had trouble breathing all day, and it wore me out. So I don't even know what they were going through.
Sending good vibes to the people of Boyle Heights.
Mhm.
That's a real tough situation.
Protect your
That they're.
lungs, guys. Like I can't imagine what breathing that every day is like. Stay safe.
You want to talk about Dalton Rushing?
Um, I just I'm a little concerned for him. I know that there's a lot going around about how he channels his emotions. The biggest concern I have for him is like we saw him try to break the bat on his knee and then he did it on the second try. Like I just don't want to see him get injured doing something like that. Like we saw, God, I
Oh,
forget.
I thought you were concerned because of the concussion that he had against the Gemelos game, and that
Oh no, I mean,
you
well,
are
no, because
just concerned for his mental health.
well, and his physical well-being if he's like cracking bats on his knee and things like that. No, because we weren't talking about the Twin series till next week.
So let me follow up with this Dalton Rushing situation, because it is the concussion, and he did not play in the second game against the Gemelos, and we don't know what the situation is with Will Smith. Like, Dave Essay earlier today said, well, we see him moving his neck. My concern is, let's say Rushing does have to miss some time because of concussion protocol. Does that mean Will Smith is going to rush back? Because I got to tell you this, Amy, Chucky Robinson is not cutting it for me.
Well, yeah, I don't think he's gotten a hit yet. I really hope that's coming soon. But I think they were saying in the broadcast last night that Alex Call is the backup.
Yeah, he's the
backup
emergency catcher.
He's the
Well, I thought what was a great line was Eric Karros was just like, "Do you think Alex Call knows he's the emergency catcher? Has anybody told
Did they
Alex
tell him he's
Call
on the emergency call
that
tree?
that you are the emergency catcher?" Look, Benny Biceps is playing in the minor leagues for the Metropolitans. Amy, is it time
Say
that
say his name right so people know who you're talking about.
Benny Biceps?
That's not his name.
¿Quién es más fuerte? Benny Biceps.
He is a professional and has earned the right to have his name stated correctly. Rortvet.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call comedy. A good comedy.
I couldn't get the first T out of my mouth. There we go. Ben Rortvet.
Do you think it's time that, especially with the health concerns of both Will Smith and Dalton Rushing, that maybe they should go out there and trade for a backup catcher now? Because I'm telling you, I feel bad for Chucky Robinson in these games because I feel like he's completely overmatched.
Well, he just got thrust into a situation where like it's a lot. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I mean, I hope he does well, but I don't think it could hurt, especially with now your catcher and your backup catcher. Even if Dalton Rushing is only out for a couple of days, we've seen Will Smith go on concussion protocols, and he's not always right when he gets back. So and you mentioned the veteran presence. Dalton Rushing's still learning that. So to continue learning on the job to get up to Will Smith's, where he's at for as long as he's out and have to deal with concussion like aftermath, that's a lot.
I'm calling up the Metropolitans. What's it going to take to get Benny Biceps?
Oh, do you have him? Do you have him on speed dial? Your buddies?
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Back to Dalton Rushing. Are you concerned because you think he's too emotional? Is that what?
No, I just don't want him to hurt himself while venting in some of these situations. That's my biggest concern. While he's figuring out.
It does seem like he has a lot of maturing to do, doesn't it?
I don't want him to get hurt. That's all.
Because I go back into earlier but see, that's the thing, right? Clearly, I feel like he has always been a emotional player, and I feel that maybe that emotion has helped him be successful, and that's why he's in the major leagues. So when you get like that, you don't want to have to ask somebody to change who they are, because then I feel it might impact their play overall. Because
I don't think anybody's
want me to be somebody I'm not.
Well, and they're not asking him to change, because if you all the players that are polled are like, oh, that's just how he is. Like, he plays hard. Yeah. Like they all acknowledge that that's who he is. My concern is just be careful, buddy. That bat didn't break the first time you did it on your knee. Like, we can't afford you to have a contusion or anything on the thing that you are kneeling on for 18 innings, 9 innings, So,
you know what I would do if I was in the dugout? I would tell him, "Hey, look, if you really want to break a bat, break it over Chucky Robinson."
You leave.
Break it over Chucky.
No, take that back. No, we need a little punching bag, like the little ones that used to get, and he can just go punch that on the side. I just want him to be okay. That's all. So.
We're going to switch topics, and we're going to talk about the latest CBA proposal, the rumors that were going around, because at this point, this is all speculation, right, Amy? Because we can't really say that this is, because it's not like they're negotiating in public, but somehow this is getting reported. Jeff Passan had put out there that what the owners are proposing is banning high school players from the draft and then implementing an international draft. And go ahead.
The high school players would be ineligible for the domestic draft and need to be at least 2 years removed from graduation to be selected. So you want them to maybe go to college, but then you want to pull them out halfway through.
Well, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like they want to use college as their
new minor leagues, which, yeah.
Which to me, I mean, what was really interesting to me, Amy, was the players' reaction to this. That's what was more telling to me. Because in terms of like the nuts and bolts, like I was having this conversation with a friend of mine where I was just like, wow, I didn't realize how poor these owners are because everything is trying to reduce labor. Everything is
But the
trying to
thing is,
reduce
they're
labor.
not. We see the Forbes numbers. Like, we see all this
Exactly.
stuff and they cry poverty. And it's like, I'm sorry, I don't feel bad for you.
No, I agree with you 100%, but that's why I just thought it was so telling to see players' reactions to this.
Well,
Like,
because it's a slap in the face. Like, we were just, I think we talked about this on a previous episode where, like, if you are going to install a salary cap, you need a salary floor. But you also, if you're going to do baseball welfare, if you're going to do the competitive balance tax and let people pull from that pool of money, if you will, like, they need to be spending it on payroll. So if you have, I think God, I can't remember, was it the Rays or the Marlins? When you're buying pitching machines for your Dominican Republic training and you're spending like 30 million on that and you're like, look, I used the pool money, that's not what it's for. Like, you're supposed to be spending it on payroll. You're supposed to be putting it back in the team. Like, if you want to go buy more project machines for your training facilities, then do that out of your own pocket. But like, there should be, like, we should be putting stipulations on what they're doing with this versus like trying to, I just, looking at some of these, like the signing bonuses, the minimum age for international entry. We saw Justin Turner make a couple comments about this. So like you said, the players definitely have feelings. Justin Turner's not even in the MLB per se this year. He's playing in Mexico, but they all have feelings about this.
look, to me, if you're going to use the money for pitch, in your example, use it for pitching machines. Okay, whatever, because that's development. All right, I can somewhat buy that. That's player development. But when you are literally advocating to prevent them from entering the workforce, very convenient. 2 years. That's 2 years that you don't have to pay these players in the minor league system, that you don't have to pay for their their development, so to speak. And the thing was, is just the reaction was so strong from the players, Amy, that I immediately, the first thing that came to my mind was there's going to be a work stoppage because
Yeah.
we're already, we haven't even truly started negotiating, and there's such animosity, and it's just very clear that the owners are not willing to give anything. And when you're coming to a negotiation basically saying, I don't want to spend more money, but yet what you said, when you see how values of team, now the argument.
And to your point, like, I know FSA isn't the same, but like, it's almost like when you're like, oh God, we're getting to the end of the year, I've got to spend my FSA or my
Yeah.
HSA, use it or lose it. Let's get some project machines. No, use that to get the players that you're supposed to get. Like, use it for what it's for. Don't try to go buy a bunch of stuff with your FSA or HSA that you know doesn't fall into the bracket. Use it for what it's for. Like, stop trying to skirt around the system. They all clamored for this. They all wanted this pool of money, and now they're not using it the way that it's supposed to be, and nobody's holding them accountable.
And this to me is just more of a reason why the Dodgers, I think, should be very aggressive at the trade deadline. Because, first of all, we don't know what next season is going to look like. And as you have said many times, we don't know under what rules we're going to be playing, from this point on. So, winning 3 World Series in a row is very rare. So I hope the Dodgers just are super aggressive. Look, everybody's accusing you of ruining baseball anyways, so just completely ruin it. Just
Me?
completely ruin it.
Accusing me
No,
of ruining it?
no, the Dodgers. The Dodgers.
Oh. I was like,
But
I didn't ruin
I just,
anything.
yeah, and the thing is I feel bad for the players. I really do, and I understand why the reaction was, but there was like no poker face, Amy. It was like
I
literally
think it was raw
Federico
shock of like,
Federico Freeman, who's usually pretty easygoing and isn't like combative, confrontational at all, except when he's talking to Dylan Hernandez. But
Yeah.
he was like heated about it. right? And I'm
Well,
just
because
like,
it shows a lack of respect, and nobody's going to hold the owners accountable. The commissioner works for them. So how, aside from, and we've already seen the union go through upheaval of its own internally
yeah,
this year. So you've got to depend on these new people coming in to bargain for you against people who don't care. They don't care if
yeah.
there's a work stoppage. They're still making money. So they don't care. They don't have to cave. So what leverage do you truly have if the people who control it also control all the other mechanisms that would make it fair?
I mean, the
It's
timing
it's
could
just a metaphor for the world today.
absolutely, absolutely, and it's just the timing could not be worse. Baseball is on an uptick in popularity. Like baseball is doing good,
I just
and
filled out another survey from MLB. They just gave me another one in the MLB app about like, what do you love about the sport? What do you think about these rules? What do you think about the ABS? What enhances your experience? What do you think detracts from it? It's like a 10 to 12-minute survey. I will stop and do that every time if it means maybe they're even potentially listening to us. But it's also like, okay, but does this stuff really matter because you're just going to do what you want?
I don't want to be that cynical. If I've learned any lessons from you, I don't. But it's hard. It really is hard when you see reporting like this to be like, there's just I don't think they're operating in good faith, and I'm sure the players feel that.
And it sucks because the players are the ones that lose. To me, it's all the things behind the scenes that we don't talk about. Not only are they losing their salary for the games that are not played, and sure the owners are losing money, but we know they're not. I mean, they're not hurting for money. Um, it's a beast of their own making, but it's more the behind the scenes stuff of, okay, I can't see my trainers, I can't get access to, maybe if I'm injured, whatever I need to heal, or just my training plan in general. Like they have no access, they can't contact their manager, anybody. And like when you have a season where you're trying to make a run for something, any of these teams, you're handicapping them before the season even begins. And
Yeah.
for what? More money? You, like if you can't afford a team, that's what should go into it. We need better rules for changing over the ownership, but they're never going to vote for that. They're never going to build that into a CBA because that doesn't benefit them.
Absolutely.
I might
So
feel a little bit of a way about that.
next topic is we're going to be talking about Manzanar Baseball. Amy, you want to set this up?
Yes. So I have a friend who works, she volunteers for the Manzanar Baseball Project. We actually brought her up a couple episodes. So my friend Greta, she runs Level Ump. She volunteers for this organization. It's run by Dan Kwong. If you want to check it out, they have a lot of good information. So the website is mzbbp.org. So Manzanar Baseball Project. But it's run by the Manzanar National Historic Site. Ugh. So in 2023, they decided that they would rebuild the World War II baseball field. So for anybody who doesn't know, many Japanese Americans were incarcerated and forced into these camps against their will. And they lived there for anywhere from between 1942 and 1945. And so Manzanar is the last camp that was basically kept as a reminder of what was going on. So they've started to rebuild some of this stuff. But if you watch any documentaries on it, you'll always see some sliver of like baseball creeping in. Basically, baseball is what got a lot of people through. So even though these were Americans, they were loyal to the country. That baseball is what saved them, saved some of their sanity in there. And so in mid-October, the Manzanar Baseball Project is going to have their grand opening doubleheader. And so that will also be live streamed. So it's basically a pair of games featuring players from the Japanese American Baseball Leagues of California. They're going to be using period uniforms, using vintage equipment. More information will come about how you can watch it being live streamed. But it's just, there's a really great article. If you get a chance, check it out. It's by Jessica Coslow on the Argonaut. It's called "It's Time for Manzanar Baseball." Doubleheader in Santa Monica honors the America's national pastime. But it just gives a lot of information about how we can honor people I'll pause here. There's a couple other things I'll say about like who's sponsoring it, but I want to make sure I give you time to say anything that you want to say about this too.
Well, some of you may know I'm not a fan of the West Side, but this smells like a field trip to me, Amie. What are the odds that we can get into this game?
I'm not. I want to go. My friend will be there, so she's made it very clear that I am welcome up there anytime. So I kind of want to go. It will be in mid-October at some point, so we will be in potentially a playoff run. But I think this is something that's important. If we can get out there, I would like to go. If not, find a way to like live stream it somewhere, because I think this is so important. Dan Kwong, who runs this, his mother, I believe, was incarcerated, and he's been playing. This is his 55th season with the Japanese American Baseball League. He's been playing since 1971, and he will be playing in this game. And he's the one kind of spearheading this whole project that people are volunteering to help restore this field, which I think is amazing.
I agree with you. I think it's important too. I would love to be there just to witness history, to be a part of this, to cover this. So, putting it out there in the universe, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to go to this game.
We'll try to make it happen if we can. Just some other information, just so that we get the backstory completely accurate. This is presented by 18th Street Art Center in partnership with Great Leap and Highways Performance Space. It's part of the Manzanar Baseball Public Programs and Live Stream Series, which is a multidisciplinary series of presentations led by Dan Kwong. And then it focuses on the history of Japanese American incarceration during World War II and honors the resiliency exemplified by a small community targeted by racism. So you can go to the site that I mentioned, the mzbbp.org. I believe the Japanese History Museum, I'd have to find the link. We can try to link it somewhere. But they also have like hats and shirts that you can buy. If you go to the site that I just mentioned, you can also donate to the project. So anything that you can do, even if it's maybe you don't have the funds right now. I know we're all struggling to pay bills, get groceries, but if you can just share that information with somebody, just let people know, because one of the things that is in those articles and on the website is we're going through this again. We've clearly forgotten history. We saw it here in America. We've seen it multiple times, between whether it's indigenous, whether it's slavery, whether it was the forcible incarceration of people. We saw it in Europe. We're clearly not learning the lesson. And so I think that these things are important so that we remember that we all should be on equal footing. We're all humans. Let's stand together instead of tearing each other apart.
Absolutely. You know what? I'm really glad that you brought this story to light, Amie, because to me this is a perfect example of at least the vision that I had in mind of what Baseball Shangri-La it is about. Is it these kind of stories involving Manzanar? It's I sit there and I look. I don't know if you've seen these watch parties that are going on for the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
There is something about sports, right? There is something, whether it unites us, brings us together, whatever phrase you want to go ahead and use, that there is something about sports that helps us get through the day, get through the time, especially if we're going through something rough, right? So these watch parties that are going all over the country. I mean, there's a restaurant by my house, Amie, that is constantly empty. I have no clue how it survives. It might be a Russian money laundering front, as far as I know, but I'm just like, there's nobody ever there. The other day, after the Mexico game against South Korea, I went to Trader Joe's after the game, and this restaurant is located in that shopping center. I couldn't find parking. And I drove by the restaurant, and it was standing room only in the patio area. And they had like all the flags of all the teams participating in the World Cup. And I was just like, wow, it was so great to see it. And then I saw videos of how they had set up a watch party for the Mexico game in Boyle Heights. They put these giant screens, they shut down the middle of the street, and it was just a sea of people. Like, you couldn't see anything other than just people. I know they had them in Koreatown, and that's what, right? Sport
That's what it
is.
should be about. And I feel like because baseball is so prim and proper sometimes. We don't always see that. We see extreme fanaticism,
Right.
but you don't see the camaraderie as much, I feel like, as what you see with like the World Cup right now. And
Yeah.
honestly, I don't watch a lot of soccer. I focus on baseball. I focus on the Dodgers. I went and I watched the Mexico game last week, and it was amazing. For me, seeing across social media all the fan interactions, I think I've sent you so much stuff, especially stuff on Merlin the Duck. Like, I think it's amazing just how these things tie people together. The broadcaster that was, talking about it, and then the fans came up and like threw him up in the air, and he kept broadcasting, and then like they set him down and they went on their way. Like, it's just, this is the humanity that I think that we're missing. And I think, especially like what we were talking in the beginning about some of the stuff that's happening up north, like that's the antithesis of what we're seeing with the World Cup. Like, this should be unifying people. It should be bringing people together. You should be making amazing memories. Just seeing the fans from Korea in Mexico and how everybody's interacting, and it doesn't matter which team you were rooting for. They were all just happy to be together, and you still rooted for your team. I think, did you see the message that
Yeah.
Korea ended up sending to Mexico, basically about, we've bonded so much, and good luck, and when we're on the pitch, like, obviously we're going to be competing, but nothing will ever change like how we've come together from this experience. And
Yeah.
it's just, like, it's classy.
That to me was really inspiring. Did you hear about the letter that the Iranian team left in the locker room after their last game at SoFi?
I
Thank,
didn't.
thanking the city of Los Angeles for being a gracious host. Now, this is a country that I don't even know if we're like, I guess we're at war with, or whatever is going on. But that Iranian team, they are not allowed to stay in the United States for a certain amount of time. So they've been in a hotel in Tijuana and then traveling to their game. So it is not the best environment for them to play. Imagine the Dodgers having to, stay in a hotel 2 hours away
They're
before
they're
going
staying
to
in
a game.
Taiwan to fly
Yeah.
over to Japan later.
Exactly. So it's not the perfect scenario. So when I hear stories like that, you're absolutely right about the humanity of it. And it's like, oh, this is what sports can do. When the world is on fire, it could bring us together and remind us that there's blood here, that we're human
Mhm.
beings, that we're not what people are projecting us out to
Which
be. So
which is what you saw, like, just to tie in World War II, but that's what you saw in World War I and World War II. Like, once people realized, like, oh, that's just a guy on the other side being directed to fight
yeah,
against me, like, they would have to swap people out on the front lines, because once you got a little too friendly with the other side and realized you were human, you can't, it's hard for you to do harm to them. And I
yeah,
think that's a good lesson across everything. I think that's something that, I mean, not to get onto like paranoia or conspiracy theory, but that's what many people don't want us to be, is unified. And I think these are the first steps into recognizing that we are all human. We all deserve to be cared for, and the divisiveness doesn't really do anything for anybody, as long as we're happy, healthy, and you're not forcing somebody to do something against their will. So
absolutely. That's going to do it for this show. Just to wrap things up, I do want to give a quick shout out to my dear friend Piolas, who got me the Dodgers soccer jersey that they gave out at the Rayos game. So it was a complete surprise to me. So thank you, Piolas. I did not. I'm a fat boy in a little suit in it. So hopefully, if I just eat fruits and nuts, I might be able to fit into it and not necessarily look like chorizo in it,
you could turn it into a cape for now.
it was yeah, exactly that. Amie, any last words?
David wants a taco. I think we're in the clear. So thank you for your comment on the show last week. We'll try not to scare you, yeah, going forward. No
That's
promises.
right. So, for those of you who have been listening to us on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, rate us, write us a review, help spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us your comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Blue Sky at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amie, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.